welcoming everyone, affirming our 7 principles, acknowledging wisdom from many sources, and feeling grateful for all guidance that deepens our understanding and expands our vision. Welcome. October 25th is a most special date for this congregation, for it was exactly 25 years ago today that 14 people responded to an ad in the Herald-Zeitung newspaper inviting area residents to attend an organizational meeting for a new Unitarian Universalist fellowship. We honor those original 14 for taking that daring step out of the safety of the religious mainstream into a swirl of different ways of thinking about, talking about, and acting on matters of the spirit. An organizational meeting for a liberal church fellowship where you will be encouraged to explore the varieties of religious experience. That's a pretty daring deed for 1955 in the conservative community of New Braunfels. That first ad was placed in the paper by Thea Cheshire. The first meeting was held in her home. Thea was our first president, and she was involved in most of the activities of this congregation for the better part of 25 years. We fondly refer to her as our matriarch. Each of us, in our own way, is grieving the loss of Thea. She died on April 29th at the age of 93. Still funny, wonderful, irreverent, brave, wise, and completely delightful. Thea may have gotten away from us, but we cannot get away from her. She's taken up residence in our hearts forever. So this morning, we're going to focus on memories of Thea and how lucky we all are that she put that ad in the paper, that she brought us together, that she many times saved us from taking ourselves too seriously, and she led us onward through the fog. But as Thea liked to say, no one does anything alone. Through the years, those 14 founders and many more of us have combined our talents and strengths and created a vibrant, active, loving community. So after we celebrate Thea, Chile Ornelas will celebrate UUNB's 25 years of joys and accomplishments. And at the end of the service, we hope you too will share with us some of your thoughts and feelings about Thea and about this wonderful church family. So happy anniversary to us. And now we will light the chalice. We light this chalice, symbol of all that we are, all that we have been and done together, and all that we will become. With full hearts, we affirm our relationships with one another. We recognize our agency and our connective power, and we accept our responsibility to be bold and courageous.
What a thrill it was to hear that true Texan voice answer the phone. Thea here. In just those 2 words, you could hear how positive, strong, and authentic she was. Thea here. Then if you asked her how she was doing, she would say, "I'm the luckiest woman alive." And she really meant it. She had a deep love for her family, bragged about them all the time. She appreciated beyond measure Unitarian Universalism and the University of Texas. She delighted in the Democratic Party and liberal causes. She enjoyed both playing and watching sports throughout her life. Teaching and counseling in the public schools was a truly rewarding career for her. She and Alan Cheshire had a happy marriage. And then later in life, she settled into a comfortable relationship with her boyfriend, her lazy boy recliner. She was truly grateful for her friends and for this congregation, generously praising us and thanking us all the time. Thea had the uncanny ability to say exactly whatever we needed to hear, instinctively perceiving the good in us and telling us how exceptional we were, how important we were to her. If only we all had the ability to make each other feel special and treasured like Thea did, what a wonderful world it would be. Thea was exuberant and lighthearted and loved to laugh. She enjoyed jokes and funny stories, some of them ribald. She could deliver a punchline perfectly deadpan. Much of her humor was self-deprecating, and we all laughed with her as she laughed at herself. There's a goofy picture of Thea wearing a baseball cap that says, "I'm their leader. Which way did they go?" Let's keep on laughing and having fun. Thea would approve. Thea had that incredibly playful spirit, but there was another dimension that set her apart: courage. It takes courage to go against the tide, and Thea did, spiritually, personally, and politically. Her goal in high school was to someday become a missionary. But after her freshman year at UT, she made a slight pivot. She became an atheist. For a young girl from a seriously Presbyterian family, that took courage. Thea did not give a flip about keeping a tidy house. And for her, fashion was all about being comfortable. These were bold opinions for a woman brought up in her times. Wherever she lived, Thea kept her door unlocked at all times. And that's because she wanted people to feel free to walk right in. Now that was brave. She started the first Democratic women's organization in this completely Republican county. That was fearless. And our gutsy Thea showed up at all kinds of protests and demonstrations, waving her flag and her UU banner. Going back to her childhood with her dear Martha Ann, a Black woman who helped raise her, Thea was a lifelong defender of civil rights. Oh, how she loved the MLK March, even when she had to march in her wheelchair. Thea spoke her truth fearlessly, but never in an angry tone, always with kindness and generosity. Our matriarch was gentle, but she had a boatload of courage. In preparing for this service, Mary and I interviewed some of Thea's longtime good buddies. And one reflection came up again and again. Thea believed each of us is on our own journey. She might not agree with us on any issue, but she did not argue with us, didn't try to make us wrong. She simply acknowledged that we were on different paths. This was one of the reasons we were magnetically drawn to her. She accepted us as we were. Joyfully and effortlessly, Thea modeled the UU principles of acceptance of one another, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, and a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. What a gift to our congregation. 12 years ago, we were beginning to think about architectural designs for our new building. And Thea's only request was that there be a lot of windows because she loved nature and wanted to be able to look outside and see trees and birds and butterflies and flowers. Today, I can finally reveal to you something that Thea did not want me to tell you while she was alive. Now I'm telling. Thea made a strictly anonymous donation of a large sum of money and specified that it was to be used for landscaping our church grounds. Someday, when we meet again at our physical church home, we can look through the front wall of windows at the beautiful grounds and remember Thea and her generosity. Now, that request for windows did come from her love of nature, yes, but it was also a reflection of her open-hearted spirit. Thea did not want to hide away behind walls and keep a distance from others. No, she wanted to be connected to and engaged with the whole world. It can't be a surprise to anyone that she loved the song, What a Wonderful World. Yesenia, Miss Yes, as Thea called her, will now sing What a Wonderful World in Thea's honor, along with pictures of Thea through the years. Many thanks to Judith Ferrari for sharing the photos, and to Mary Powell's nephew, Stephen Vogel, for creating the slideshow.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, bright blessed day and the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. the colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? But they're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow, and they learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, oh, what a wonderful world.
Good morning, everyone. That's a tough act to follow. Beautiful music, wonderful message, lots of great photos. Thank you. That's beautiful. Good morning. My name is Ornelas, and I will be giving you a little background of our church's history. It is 25 years old today, so let's get started. This is the building as we know it today. It's been a long course to get here, but I want to tell you a little of how it got to where it is today. I only have a few minutes, so please forgive me if I leave something out or I do not include you in what I have said when it's also very important. All right then, here we go. Once upon a time, in a galaxy far, far, far away, okay, no, not that. Maybe a little bit closer, right here in New Braunfels. As Sarah and Mary just mentioned, there was an ad in a paper, a newspaper, the Herald Zeitung. In that paper, there was an article. And I want you to think about this. Would you join such an organization? Would you go into somebody's home and talk about this? The ad asked, as you saw it at the beginning, a group where people are encouraged to be inquisitive and open-minded. It also asked if people were open to learning and sharing with people of different religions and backgrounds to come together and form a religious group. Would you go? I mean, that's all it said. And then a phone number and an address. The first, would you go? I mean, it's kind of forming a new church. Can I have this next slide, please? So the first meeting of the group was on the 25th of October. What's today? 25th of October. It was in 1995, and it met in Thea Schescher's home. Here's a picture of her home as it exists today. 14 individuals met together, and this was the very first meeting of what was to become us, UUNB. The very first meeting was initially held in her home, but as the group grew larger, they had to find more homes, and they still met in individual private homes. But it was growing and growing, so they had to find a better place, bigger place to meet. By 1996, the group had become more organized, and they started meeting in a conference room in a local bank. That bank doesn't exist anymore. I went by the address. It's a strip mall now. The first president of the group was Thea, that was mentioned earlier. By April of that year, again, that was 96, they were meeting Wednesday nights at Faith United Church of Christ. Can I have the next photo, please? Faith United at that time did not have that big building they have now. They met in this building, their fellowship hall. So they would, so Thea's group would meet there on Wednesday nights. And then on Sundays, the regular church of Faith United would meet. So we have something very much in common with with Faith United. They were the ones that helped us grow, excuse me, into what was to become UUMB today. But by 1997, the group continued to grow, and it adopted its first bylaws. Thank you to Frank Hodges, and it elected church officials, and it hired its first quarter-time minister, the Reverend Les Pugh. Another major milestone occurred in March of '98 when the group applied to and was accepted with membership into Unitarian Universalist Association, the UUA. And in January of '98, we were accepted. As student membership grew, so did the need for Sunday services. Of course, I told you Faith United was holding their church. So the group decided to meet at Senior Center on February the 3rd, 2002. Here's a picture of that Senior Center. But there was a problem. It led to something that is called the Sacred Church of the Car Trunk. Yeah, let me say that again. The Sacred Church of the Car Trunk. It became this, or it was called this in jest, because it seemed that Sunday services were held at this building in the Senior Center. But on Wednesdays, the congregation was still meeting at Faith United. So of course, the church records, the hymnals, the chalice, all those materials were in somebody's trunk. And of course, sometimes those trunks changed, car trunks. And so they would go back and forth. And so it became the Sacred Church of the Car Trunk. Kind of interesting, kind of funny. You heard the story last week of how Trisha and Bob and the service that they were going to perform right here at the Senior Center, and how they got locked out. Well, it seems that people come on, let's face it, New Braunfels, they're conservative. And so when they heard Wiccan, when they heard witches, they closed it down and said, no, you can't meet here. I mean, I don't know what they were afraid of. Would you trust people like this? Why not? I love this picture. Well, the padlocking of the meeting room, and also the Senior Center demanding that they pre-approve all the sermon topics of the UU folks, that would impede, quote, impede our search for truth and meaning. Yes, of course. The action of locking us out created the need to find a proper meeting place for our growing congregation, end quote. Effort began at that time to study, to learn, to figure out how to go about buying land, how to form the church as it was, and find some property for the building. But not having a church building did not cause church activities to stop yet. I mean, they were still meeting at different places. No, sorry, Bob, they're gonna meet. So they still had some crazy parties and crazy events, and even a special wedding. Can I have the next picture? Can you go back one? So this is one of those crazy parties. Thank you, Mary Hitch and Bill. And our next, hang on right there. Does anybody know when UUMB held its first wedding? Yeah, our first wedding was on February the 8th, 2004. Everybody, please please wish a very happy 16th wedding anniversary to, drumroll, yes, Catherine Walker and Ted Mills. Happy anniversary, guys. Wonderful picture, beautiful. It was a big event also in 2005. In January of that year, Tricia Stevens, as president of our church, signed legal city papers, and we became the owners of the land at 135 Avis Lane. 135 Avis Lane, which is, of course, our church. It was to become our home. It was also the 10th year anniversary of the group, which was celebrated outside our land. Tents went up on the property, festivities and songs, blessings of the land, spreading of flowers and seeds, and everybody congratulating each other, of course, all types of activities for the 10th year anniversary. The next 2 years went by pretty fast as Dwight Micklethwaite, with loads of inputs and help from church members, designed our first future building. So it took a while. Thank you, Dwight, for all that work. Here's a picture of our leaders breaking ground for that building. I went through several yearbooks and some information, and I found some very interesting pictures of our history and our growth. Then the real building process began. The entire congregation, of course, donated funds, but of their own time, their own labor, physical labor was donated, and the church came into being. Jackie Russell and Jane Miller donated the Steinway baby grand piano. That one instrument has brought so much joy and comfort to our congregation. Thank you both. Did you guys know you have to water that piano? It's crazy. Yeah, serious. You have to water that piano. Okay, another huge milestone occurred on May 18th of 2008, when the very first Sunday service was held in our very first new building. Celebration Sunday was the title. And of course, it was full of joy and happiness and fun and songs and kids. There were so many well dones and thank yous, of course, all of that. But there was also hopes and wishes for even a better future. And we are here today to thank all those who carried on that work. All right, we're going to fast forward now to 2013, when the memory garden was designed and the first stones were installed. May I have that? So here's a picture of the memory garden. Then in October the 25th, 2015, again, October 25th, the congregation celebrated the 20th anniversary of that first meeting in Thea's living room. Again, a feeling of joy and happiness and gratitude to the past and well wishes and hopes for the future. And just like today, on that date, Mary Powell delivered the message, along with her thoughts on banking on a dream. Banking on a dream. Thank you, Mary, for still being with us. All right, fast forward 2 more years. It's now October 2017, and we hired our first Unitarian Universalist minister, the Reverend Ade Ama Cabra. Thank you, Reverend Ade, for joining us, for putting up with us, and for staying with us. I know joining a very independent group such as ours as a religious leader is going to be difficult for anybody. Thank you, Reverend Ade. I mentioned earlier that we bought our land in June of 2005, 10 years after Thea's ad. I also mentioned about the efforts to build a facility, and we were able to quickly pay it off. Most of you will remember when Charles C. Hayes informed us just last year, that we had paid off the last of our notes. We were debt-free. Our burning of the note service, you may remember, burning the note, was held last year in July 2019. We all went outside and we all symbolically burned a small piece of paper symbolizing the mortgage note into the fire. Interestingly, that was the most well-attended service so far. And if you notice today, that the number of participants were at 60. And of course, there's more people out there where 2 people are on each screen. So thank you for joining us. To give you a good idea of our growth, here's an illustration. We started with 14 members in 95. By 98, we had doubled to 32 members. Growth continued, and our numbers doubled again by the spring of 2007, when we had 72 members. And some of you remember last year, November 28th of last year, to be exact, we went over 100 members. Yeah. 100 members strong. And now we find ourselves celebrating 25 years of growth and fellowship. But with COVID, what an interesting year this has become, right? We will long remember 2020. Remember when people used to say, where were you when Kennedy was shot? Yeah. Well, now it's going to be replaced with, where were you when COVID came around? Yeah. But we have to go on. We have to continue to live our lives with the present limitation and restrictions and hope for the future. I know that I speak for everyone that we will get through this. Sometime in the not too distant future, I know we'll all come back together again and we will celebrate Thea's life. And, and truly celebrate our 25th anniversary. I had wanted flags and I wanted parades and I wanted fireworks and I wanted all kinds of things to really celebrate our 25th anniversary. Obviously with COVID, we can't do all of that, but I have my fireworks, guys. I'm ready for the 25th anniversary.
I invite you now to join me in our hymn, Love Will Guide Us. Please remain muted, but sit up close to the screen so you can see the words. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
A final farewell. Fare thee well, dear Thea, matriarch, cheerleader, playmate, friend. Wherever you are for the rest of time, we'd hope to go looking and find you there. Have those shining eyes fixed upon us. Hear your newest favorite word. Taste your wisdom. Take a conversation to some unexpected place. Find affirmation, empowerment. We'll dance around the maypole, take in a ball game, clap hands, share stories, lift a beer. No unkind judgments or ongoing sorrows, just joyful presence. You, we, the whole wide world.